They ruled the 90s, icons of the screen, the stage, and the stadium. Beloved actors, unstoppable athletes, chart-topping musicians, worshipped by millions and untouchable in their fame. But behind the flashbulbs and luxury mansions, some hid secrets darker than their brightest days. From a deadly love triangle that ended in tragedy, to an actor who blurred the line between fiction and real-life evil, to a powerful producer who thought he was untouchable until justice came knocking. These weren't just scandals, they were downfalls that shocked the world. Which one do you remember? And which one will leave you speechless today? Stay tuned as we uncover the untold truths behind their rise and their ultimate collapse. And before we dive in, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell us in the comments which story stunned you the most. Suge Knight, from rap empire to prison walls. There was a time when Marion Suge Knight Jr. ruled the streets of hip-hop like a king. In the early 1990s, he built Death Row Records, the fortress of West Coast rap. Under his command, legends like Dr. Dre and Tupac Shakur created music that shaped a generation and redefined American culture. Death Row wasn't just a label, it was a revolution, the raw voice of the streets that mainstream America couldn't ignore. But behind the platinum records and million-dollar deals was a man whose power came wrapped in fear. Whispers followed Suge everywhere, rumors of gang ties, violent intimidation, and secret payback against anyone who crossed him. Some said he ordered beatings, others whispered about connections to the murders of rivals, including the notorious B.I.G. The more powerful he became, the darker the stories grew. And still, Suge acted like the rules didn't apply to him. That illusion shattered in 2015. Near the Straight Outta Compton film set, an argument erupted between Knight and two men, Tilly Bones Sloan and Terry Carter. Surveillance footage later shocked the world. Suge's red truck reversing, striking Sloan, then surging forward, killing Carter. It was brutal, unfiltered, and undeniable. For many, that video wasn't just evidence, it was confirmation of the violent legend they'd heard about for decades. In 2018, Suge Knight accepted a plea deal, 28 years behind bars. 22 for voluntary manslaughter, 6 more under California's 3 strikes law. Today, the man who once ruled West Coast rap sits in a cell, his empire reduced to ashes, his throne long gone. Still, whispers won't die. Some insiders claim Suge once plotted an attack on Sean Diddy Combs during their infamous East Coast-West Coast feud. Was it business, jealousy, or pure revenge? Did Suge see Diddy as a threat to his empire, or was he simply consumed by the same rage that destroyed him? No matter which version you believe, one truth remains: even the most feared man in hip-hop couldn't outrun the weight of his own legacy. Backhand index pointing right. If you want more untold stories from hip-hop's darkest corners, smash that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned, because the truth behind the music is always deeper than you think. Danny Masterson, from sitcom stardom to a prison cell. In the late 1990s, that 70s show captured the heart of America. A nostalgic trip through bell-bottoms, teenage rebellion, and unforgettable laughs. At the center of it was Danny Masterson, the cool, sarcastic Stephen Hyde, the guy everyone wished was their best friend. With his quick wit and rebellious charm, Masterson became one of the show's breakout stars, earning fame, fortune, and a loyal fan base. But behind the sunglasses and smirk was a dark secret Hollywood didn't want to see. In 2017, the Los Angeles Police Department launched an investigation after 3 women came forward accusing Masterson of sexual assault, incidents they claimed took place in the early 2000s, during the height of his career. The allegations grew even more disturbing when reports surfaced that the Church of Scientology, of which Masterson was a prominent member, allegedly tried to silence the victims and bury the truth. For years, the story lingered in the shadows. Then, in 2020, formal charges were filed. During the highly publicized trial, 2 of the victims gave chilling testimony, describing how Masterson attacked them inside his home. Despite his repeated denials, in 2023, a jury found him guilty on 2 counts of rape. The judge's words were harsh but clear. Masterson's actions left permanent scars on his victims. His sentence, 30 years to life in prison. Soon after, his world collapsed. His wife, actress Bijou Phillips, filed for divorce just weeks after the sentencing. His lawyers tried to appeal and request bail, but the court refused, calling him a flight risk. Today, the man who once made millions laugh sits in a prison cell, facing a lifetime of consequences, a chilling reminder that no level of fame can protect someone from justice. And now, rumors swirl once again. Leaked reports claim Masterson may have secretly paid off witnesses to keep damaging evidence from surfacing. Was it a desperate act of self-defense, or a guilty man trying to silence the truth? What do you think? Can the rich and famous really buy their way out of justice? Tammy Lynn Switich, better known to wrestling fans as Sunny, was once the golden girl of the WWF. Bursting onto the scene as the manager of the Body Donnas, she wasn't just another pretty face at ringside. She had charisma, attitude, and that star quality you couldn't fake. By the mid-90s, she'd become the most downloaded woman on AOL, a pop culture phenomenon who helped define what it meant to be a WWE diva long before the term became mainstream. But behind the spotlight, her world was spiraling. Fame brought pressure, and Tammy's battles with addiction and reckless behavior became impossible to hide. Over the years, multiple DUI arrests painted a tragic pattern, one she couldn't seem to break. Fans watched with growing heartbreak as the woman who once inspired millions kept slipping further into darkness. Then, in March 2022, the nightmare everyone feared finally happened. Tammy's car slammed into another vehicle in Florida, killing 75-year-old Julian Lassiter. Tests later revealed alcohol and cannabis in her system. The crash wasn't just another scandal. It was a devastating tragedy that took an innocent life. In November 2023, Tammy was sentenced to 17 years in prison for DUI manslaughter. The state attorney called her record horrendous, saying it was only a matter of time before her choices caught up to her. Today, the woman once hailed as the first WWE diva sits behind bars, a haunting reminder that fame doesn't erase responsibility. Choices have consequences, no matter who you are. Do you remember Sunny in her prime? She had the world at her feet and lost it all. If her story shocked you, hit that like button, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts below. R. Kelly, from R&B royalty to prison reality. In the 1990s, R. Kelly wasn't just a superstar, he was a phenomenon. Songs like Bump and Grind and I Believe I Can Fly ruled the airwaves, becoming the soundtrack to graduations, weddings, and countless love stories. His voice soared. His lyrics inspired. To fans, he was untouchable, the king of R&B. But behind the platinum records and polished image, the rumors never stopped. Whispers of inappropriate relationships with underage girls shadowed his fame for years. In 2002, those whispers erupted into headlines when explicit videos surfaced, allegedly showing Kelly with a minor. He walked free after the case collapsed, and went right back to making hits, living like the rules didn't apply to him. Then came 2019. The world watched Surviving R. Kelly, and for the first time, the victims' voices couldn't be ignored. The documentary ripped open decades of silence, revealing manipulation, abuse, and control hidden behind studio doors and tour buses. Public outrage reignited the investigation, and the empire finally fell. In 2022, R. Kelly was sentenced to 30 years in prison for racketeering and sex trafficking, a chilling reminder of how fame can be weaponized. A year later, another 20-year sentence followed for child pornography charges. Though served concurrently, the message was clear: the legend had become a cautionary tale. But in 2025, a shocking twist: reports surfaced that R. Kelly had been released early. His legal team struck a controversial plea deal, citing severe health concerns. Supporters cheered it as overdue mercy. Survivors called it a betrayal of justice. The debate reignited: has redemption come too soon, or should accountability last a lifetime? From chart-topping icon to convicted criminal, R. Kelly's story is one of talent eclipsed by truth, a fall so deep that no song could ever lift him out. So tell us, do you think this is justice served or justice denied? Hit that like button, subscribe for more untold stories, and let your voice be heard below. Joe Son.I In the late 1990s, Joe Sun was a familiar face on movie screens, even if most people didn't know his name. Fans remember him as Random Task from Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, the bizarre parody of the James Bond villain Oddjob. His scene throwing a shoe instead of a steel hat became a cult classic. Before Hollywood, Joe Sun was no stranger to fighting, a former UFC and kickboxing competitor with a reputation for raw aggression. But behind the laughs and the tough guy image was a darkness no one saw coming. In 2008, Sun was arrested for felony vandalism, a minor crime that would unleash a horrifying truth. During routine probation, he was ordered to submit a DNA sample. That single test cracked open a nightmare buried for nearly 20 years. Detectives discovered his DNA matched evidence from a brutal Christmas Eve attack in 1990, a kidnapping, rape, and torture that left an entire community haunted. In 2011, Joe Sun was sentenced to 17 years and 4 months in prison for his role in the crime, a shocking fall for a man once known for making people laugh. But the violence didn't stop behind bars. In 2017, Sun murdered his cellmate, Michael Graham, beating him to death. The court added another 27 years to his sentence. Once a punchline in a comedy, Joe Sun had become the face of pure horror. Now, disturbing rumors are spreading that Joe Sun was found dead in his cell. Some whisper it was suicide, others insist it was revenge, another inmate's brutal payback. Prison officials remain silent, leaving the truth shrouded in mystery. Was it murder, suicide, or something even darker? Tell us what you think in the comments. And if you want more shocking true stories from Hollywood's hidden side, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned, because the truth is always stranger than the movies. Eric Naposki. In the late 1980s and early 90s, Eric Naposki was known for one thing: power. On the football field, he was a force of nature. A hard-hitting linebacker with the New England Patriots and later the Indianapolis Colts, Naposki wasn't a superstar, but he earned respect for his grit, focus, and relentless drive. When the stadium lights faded, he built a new life, working in security, training others, staying disciplined. But in 1994, his world collided with something darker. That year, wealthy businessman Bill McLaughlin was found shot to death inside his Newport Beach home, a brutal execution that left investigators baffled. For years, the case went cold. No suspects. No motive. No justice. Then came the twist. Behind the scenes, Eric Naposki had been having a secret affair with McLaughlin's fiancée, Nanette Packard, a woman prosecutors later claimed seduced Naposki into murder. Her prize? McLaughlin's million-dollar life insurance policy. His role? The alleged triggerman. For nearly 2 decades, whispers surrounded the case. Then in 2012, after a relentless reinvestigation, both Naposki and Packard were convicted of first-degree murder. Prosecutors laid out a chilling picture: Naposki's mounting financial troubles, his jealous obsession with Packard, and evidence placing him near McLaughlin's home the night the gun went off. He swore he was innocent. The jury didn't buy it. Once a fierce NFL warrior, Eric Naposki is now serving life in prison with no chance of parole. A fallen athlete whose life became a true crime cautionary tale about greed, betrayal, and the devastating cost of bad choices. But the story doesn't end there. Last night, unconfirmed reports began to spread online. Eric Naposki, the ex-NFL linebacker turned convicted killer, may have escaped Ironwood State Prison. Locals claimed they heard sirens wailing for hours. Prison officials have stayed silent, fueling rumors of a massive cover-up. Some say he had help, from guards, from inmates, maybe even from someone on the outside. Others insist it's all a hoax designed to draw attention back to his case. If it's true, where is he now? Hiding in the desert? Crossing borders under a new identity? Or plotting revenge on those who put him behind bars? What do you think? Did Eric Naposki really escape? Or is this just another twisted chapter in a story that refuses to die? Amy Locane. From Hollywood spotlight to a prison cell, the rise and fall of Amy Locane. In the early 1990s, Amy Locane was living every young actress's dream. She starred alongside Brendan Fraser, Matt Damon, and Ben Affleck in School Ties, holding her own among future Hollywood legends. Then came Melrose Place, where she captured hearts as Sandy Harling, a sweet, ambitious waitress chasing her big break. With her charm, talent, and that unmistakable spark, Amy's future seemed unstoppable. But fame can fade fast, and sometimes, it crashes harder than anyone expects. In 2010, after celebrating a small-town theater performance, Amy made a choice that would destroy everything she had built. She got behind the wheel after drinking. Minutes later, tragedy struck. Amy's car slammed into another vehicle carrying Fred and Helene Seaman as they turned into their driveway. Helene didn't survive. Fred was left with severe injuries. When police tested Amy's blood alcohol level, it was nearly 3 times the legal limit. In court, a tearful Amy told the judge, "My addiction killed someone." Her words broke the silence and revealed the crushing guilt she would carry for the rest of her life. In 2012, Amy Locane was sentenced to 3 years in prison for vehicular manslaughter. She was released in 2015, hoping for a second chance. But her story didn't end there. In 2019, a judge ruled her original sentence too lenient and ordered her back to prison for 8 more years. Today, the once rising star of Melrose Place sits behind bars, a haunting reminder that one reckless decision can destroy not just a career, but an entire life. So, what do you think? Should Amy Locane have been given another chance, or did justice demand more? Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and tell us your thoughts in the comments below. C Murder, from rap royalty to life behind bars. In the late 1990s, Corey Miller, better known to the world as C Murder, was living the dream. The younger brother of rap mogul Master P, he helped build the powerhouse group TRU before breaking out as a solo artist. His 1998 album Life or Death exploded onto the scene, praised for its raw southern grit, street realism, and unfiltered emotion. To fans of Louisiana hip-hop, C Murder wasn't just another rapper, he was the truth. But behind the fame and flashing lights, the story was heading toward tragedy. In January 2002, chaos erupted inside a crowded Louisiana nightclub. A scuffle broke out between C Murder and a 16-year-old fan named Steve Thomas. Moments later, gunfire. The teenager was dead. Witnesses pointed fingers, and within days, police arrested the rapper for second-degree murder. C Murder's first conviction in 2003 was thrown out over legal errors, but prosecutors refused to let go. In 2009, after a retrial filled with contradictions and questionable witnesses, he was convicted again and sentenced to life in Angola prison. At the time, he was already serving a 10-year term for an earlier shooting. For more than 2 decades, C Murder has insisted he's innocent, claiming the system made an example out of him. In 2018, 2 witnesses recanted, admitting they'd been pressured to testify against him. Still, the courts wouldn't budge. Yet even behind bars, his legend refuses to die. Rumors swirl that C Murder is secretly running a music empire from inside Angola, recording unreleased verses, ghostwriting lyrics for big-name artists, even hosting underground rap battles with fellow inmates. Some claim guards are being paid to smuggle out his music. Others say he's built a prison kingdom where loyalty and beats rule the cell block. If the whispers are true, is this a story of unstoppable genius, or a sign that power never really leaves the powerful? What do you think? Is C Murder truly living like a boss behind bars, or is it all just street legend? Dave Medgett. From NFL stardom to a 30-year prison sentence, the fall of Dave Medgett. In the late 80s and throughout the 90s, Dave Medgett was electric. Fans knew him as the lightning-fast running back and kick returner who could turn a game on its head in seconds. Wearing the jerseys of the New York Giants, New England Patriots, and New York Jets, he was a highlight reel in motion, agile, fearless, unstoppable. In 1991, he even earned a Super Bowl ring with the Giants, sealing his place in NFL glory. But behind that glory was a darkness few saw coming. Off the field, Medgett's life spiraled into chaos marked by disturbing behavior and accusations that would destroy his legacy. In 1998, he was accused of assaulting a sex worker, a case that ended without conviction. Then, in 2007, another scandal hit, a sexual battery charge involving his ex-girlfriend. He walked away with probation, but his reputation was already in flames. The breaking point came in 2010. A college student testified that Mejit forced his way into her home and assaulted her. The courtroom heard every chilling detail: the fear, the violence, and the horrifying pattern prosecutors said had followed him for years. The verdict was decisive. The former NFL star was found guilty of criminal sexual conduct and burglary. The judge handed down a 30-year prison sentence, slamming the door on what had once been a life of fame, wealth, and adoration. Today, Dave Mejit sits behind bars, far from the roar of the crowd and the bright lights of the NFL. His story is a brutal reminder that talent and glory mean nothing when darkness takes over. His victims live with scars that no apology can erase, and the man who once ran toward victory now has nowhere left to run. From rising star to life behind bars, the tragic fall of Ryan Grantham. Ryan Grantham was once seen as one of Canada's most promising young actors, a kid with big dreams and undeniable talent. Born in 1998, he stepped into the spotlight early, landing his first role in The Secret of the Nutcracker back in 2007. From there, his career began to climb. Audiences remember his sharp, funny performance as Rodney James in Diary of a Wimpy Kid and his haunting appearance as Jeffrey Augustine in the hit show Riverdale. With credits in Supernatural, Becoming Redwood, and more, Ryan seemed destined for a bright future in Hollywood. But behind the scenes, something darker was unfolding. In March 2020, the entertainment world was left speechless when shocking news broke. Ryan Grantham had murdered his own mother, 64-year-old Barbara Waite, while she played piano inside their home. What happened next made the story even more disturbing. Authorities revealed that after the killing, Grantham packed his car with guns, ammunition, and explosives, setting out on a deadly mission toward Ottawa, where he planned to assassinate Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. But before he could act, he made a chilling turn. He drove straight to a police station and turned himself in. That one decision stopped an unimaginable tragedy, but it couldn't undo the horror of what he'd already done. In 2022, Ryan Grantham pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison. Under Canadian law, he won't be eligible for parole until 2036. Once a bright young star with a promising career, Grantham's shocking downfall became a tragic reminder of how unspoken mental struggles can destroy even the most talented souls. His story now stands as a warning that fame can't save you from the darkness within, and that help must come before it's too late. Harvey Weinstein, from Hollywood power to prison walls. For decades, Harvey Weinstein was a name that carried weight in Hollywood, a kingmaker in an industry built on dreams. As the co-founder of Miramax and the Weinstein Company, he helped shape modern cinema with classics like Pulp Fiction, Good Will Hunting, and Shakespeare in Love. Behind the scenes, however, his influence came with fear. Many said a single call from Weinstein could launch a career or destroy it. But what was whispered in dark corners of the industry eventually erupted into the light. In 2017, decades of buried secrets surfaced. Dozens of actresses and employees came forward, accusing Weinstein of sexual harassment, coercion, and assault. The revelation sent shockwaves through Hollywood and ignited a global reckoning, the #MeToo movement, as women across industries broke their silence. By 2018, the once untouchable mogul was in handcuffs. His first trial in 2020 ended with a 23-year sentence for rape and sexual assault. 3 years later, another conviction in Los Angeles added 16 more years. Weinstein, who once ruled red carpets, now lived behind gray walls. Though his first conviction was recently overturned on procedural grounds, he remains imprisoned, serving time for the other charges, a fallen giant stripped of his empire. Yet whispers say Weinstein hasn't lost all his power. Rumor has it that inside prison, he's running what inmates call a VIP therapy circle, a secret rehabilitation group attended by other high-status prisoners. Some claim he mediates disputes, offers self-help talks, and has quietly built influence behind bars. If true, it sparks a haunting question. Has Harvey Weinstein truly changed, or simply found a new stage to manipulate? Is this redemption or just another performance from Hollywood's fallen king? Backhand index pointing right, what do you think? genuine rehabilitation, or privilege at play? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more untold Hollywood stories. Zach Avery. From Hollywood dreams to a 20-year prison sentence. Zach Avery, born Zachary Joseph Horwitz on December 5, 1986, once believed he was destined for stardom. A handsome face, a smooth talker, and a dreamer chasing the Hollywood spotlight. He took roles in small, low-budget films, each one a desperate attempt to break through the noise. To the outside world, he was just another struggling actor trying to make it big in Los Angeles. But behind the curtain, Zach wasn't just acting on screen, he was acting in real life. By 2021, the truth came crashing down. Horwitz had built one of the biggest Ponzi schemes in Hollywood history, conning investors out of a staggering $227 million. He claimed he had exclusive film licensing deals with Netflix and HBO, complete with forged emails, fake contracts, and carefully staged meetings. It was all a lie. The money wasn't going to Hollywood blockbusters, it was going straight into funding his own lavish lifestyle, luxury homes, high-end cars, private jets, and endless parties. The investors? They weren't nameless corporations. They were his friends, small business owners, and everyday people who believed in his Hollywood dream. When the truth surfaced, their savings, their futures, were gone. The heartbreak was as devastating as the deception. In 2022, Zach Horwitz stood before a judge and was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. He was ordered to repay millions, though for his victims, no amount of restitution could heal the betrayal. His story stands as a haunting reminder. In a city built on illusion, even the most convincing act eventually collapses. Behind the designer suits and red carpet smiles, the truth always finds a way to take center stage.